The bark shattered the quiet like a lightning strike. Maverick, the scarred German shepherd, halted mid-demonstration in Westlake Elementary's gym. His ears snapped forward, his muscles tensed. Officer Marcus Reed felt the leash stiffen in his hand. "Maverick, heel," he said calmly. But Maverick didn't hear it. Not really. Third grader. Lily Thompson, quiet as ever, stood at the edge of the group, eyes locked on the K9. The children around her shrieked in excitement, then in confusion, as Maverick tore across the linoleum floor, claws clattering, and slammed into the cafeteria wall. His bark turned primal, urgent, frantic. He dug, scraping at the seam of the vinyl floor. The dog unearthed something no one expected, a hidden trapdoor. Officer Reed's gut twisted. He dropped to a crouch as Maverick unearthed metal and dust. The door creaked open, darkness below. "Everyone stay back." Reed barked, radio already in hand. Staff corralled children away, but Lily didn't move. She slipped behind a trash can, invisible in the commotion. Her breath held, her eyes wide. Reed knelt over the opening flashlight beam, cutting through the void. No records of a sub-basement, he murmured to himself. Then, "It's a tunnel," a soft voice said. Reed, startled, turned. There stood Lily, silent, small. "Mr. Johnson says there are tunnels." "From when it was a hospital," she added. He blinked. "You shouldn't be in here." She only nodded toward Maverick. "He wanted to show you." Before he could respond, Principal Whitman burst in, her composed face strained. "What's happening?" "The children, there's talk of a hole in my cafeteria floor." Reed stepped in front of the opening. "Are you aware of any access points under this area?" Her glasses trembled slightly in her fingers. "That's impossible. Those tunnels were sealed decades ago." But Maverick growled, low and certain. Reed didn't miss Whitman's flinch. The school day ended in hushed whispers. Yellow tape cordoned off the cafeteria. Officers moved in with clipboards and caution. Parents gathered their kids with side glances and tight grips. In the parking lot, Lily climbed into her father's old Honda Civic. Her voice, normally no more than a murmur, spilled over with strange animation. "He found something, Dad. Under the floor." Maverick. He knew. Nathan Thompson tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Did anyone go down there?" His voice stayed even, but his eyes checked the rearview mirror twice in a row. "No," Lily replied. "Officer Reed said it had to be safe first." But Maverick, he really wanted to go. Nathan stared straight ahead. "Sometimes," he said, "it's better not to find what's hidden." The next morning, Lily spotted them again. Officer Reed stood by the entrance talking to investigators. Beside him, Maverick sat, tall, ears twitching, scanning everyone, and then they locked eyes with Lily. His tail gave a single subtle wag. "Remember what we talked about," Nathan whispered to her. "Let the police handle it. No wandering." But Lily's mind had already pulled away from his words. Something had shifted inside her, quiet curiosity, burned now like a fuse. She waited until library period. Slipping from the bathroom line, she looped around the building until she reached the cafeteria. 2 officers stood at the main entrance, but the service door to the kitchen was ajar. She slipped in and nearly collided with Mr. Johnson, the old custodian, mop in hand. "Well now," he said, steadying himself with the handle. "This area's off limits today." "I just wanted to see," Lily confessed. Instead of scolding, he bent closer. "Curious minds uncover truth. Timing matters." "Come back during lunch," he whispered. "They'll all be down there then, and the door'll be unguarded. You're not going to tell me to stay away." His smile was tired thin. Some things need witnessing, especially by young eyes. Lunchtime came, and with it Lily's chance. She crept through the quiet hallways, past classrooms where kids munched sandwiches under teacher watch, and slipped again through the kitchen door. No one saw her. Just as Mr. Johnson said, the cafeteria itself was bustling officers in vests and gloves, clustered around the trapdoor, voices echoing faintly from below. Lily moved on instinct, crouching low, peeking over the edge. Below was a concrete tunnel, lit by flashlights stretching into darkness. Officer Reed's voice floated up. "These tunnels, they've been used. Recently, no dust." Another voice, gravelly and official, responded. "Military hospitals had these escape shafts. But this has been modified." Maverick's bark rang out deeper into the tunnel. "He's found something." Footsteps approached the ladder. Lily ducked behind a counter. Reed climbed up, followed by another officer, Bennett, his name tag read. Maverick clambered after, tense and urgent. "Wade, we need forensics," Reed said. "There are files, equipment. This wasn't abandoned." Bennett laid a calm hand on his arm. "Don't get ahead of yourself. Could be just storage, school records." But Maverick growled again, low and wary this time, not at the tunnel, but at Officer Wade himself. Lily stayed hidden long after they'd gone. When she finally moved, it was toward the ladder. Her mind screamed no, but something stronger. Curiosity, maybe courage, drove her forward. She descended one careful rung at a time into the heart of the mystery. The tunnel was dry, maintained, not what she expected at all. Fluorescent tubes ran the ceiling, wires, clean walls, paint still clinging. She followed the light and found a room, a desk, a glowing computer, filing cabinets, photos of children. Her stomach dropped. She knew those faces, classmates who had moved away without saying goodbye. Zoe, Miguel, a few others. Notes scrawled beside each photo. Class 3A, verified. Potential confirmed. Then came the voices. Heavy boots. She ducked beneath the desk, heart pounding in her throat. And her father's voice cut through the silence. "I thought I heard something," Nathan said. Lily froze. What was her father doing here, in this room? "Ignore it," came another voice, one she now recognized, Principal Whitman. "Old buildings creak." "No," Nathan said firmly. "We need to remove the sensitive materials. Forensics will connect the dots. The operation's exposed." "That's not your call," Whitman snapped. "We follow protocol." Lily didn't understand everything, but she understood this. Her father. Her safe place was part of something awful. They moved through the room, gathering files. Whitman's voice, again. The last 3 transfers were smooth. Wisconsin was a fluke, Nathan muttered. "They're watching more closely now. We can't assume we're invisible." Then Maverick's bark echoed from the tunnel. "Police, is someone down there?" Officer Reed's voice. Panic erupted. Doors slammed. Footsteps pounded away. Lily stayed frozen under the desk, hands over her mouth. The room emptied. Only when she was sure they were gone did she crawl out, trembling. She had never felt so small. Reed and Maverick burst in seconds later. They found her curled into a ball, silent tears falling. Lily Reed's voice softened. "It's dangerous here." Maverick pressed close to her, not as a working dog, but as something gentler. She clung to his fur. "I heard them talking," she whispered. "Transfers. An operation." Reed's expression darkened. "Who did you hear, Lily?" But she shook her head, face buried in Maverick's side. "Not yet." She couldn't say it yet. Not until she knew for sure. Not until she understood why. Later in the gym-turned-command center, she sat on a plastic chair beside Maverick. Officers combed through evidence. Ms. Bryant, a kind-eyed social worker, asked questions. Lily barely responded. Only Maverick could ground her now. Her fingers stayed woven in his fur. "She's trauma-bonded," Ms. Bryant murmured to Reed. "The dog represents safety." Whatever she saw shook her deeply. Reed nodded but said nothing. His eyes were fixed across the room on Officer Wade, who was managing the flow of evidence. Too closely, too deliberately. Something wasn't right. Reed's instincts wouldn't let go of the tension in his gut. Wade moved with control, but it was too much control. He dictated who accessed the tunnels, removed files before forensics arrived, explained away inconsistencies with a calm that felt rehearsed. And Lily still hadn't spoken a word about her father. Ms. Bryant shook her head when asked. She's protecting someone. It's common. Children love the person even when they fear what they're doing. Reed's jaw tightened. Across the gym, Principal Whitman sat slouched in a chair, shrinking under a detective's questions. Her nerves were showing now, adjusting her glasses, asking for clarifications on simple things. Then Reed's phone buzzed. A message from a name buried in his contacts: Johnson. Records room. 10 minutes. Alone. Mr. Johnson was already there when Reed arrived, waiting under fluorescent lights, holding something wrapped in cloth. Been here 43 years, the old custodian began, voice hollow. I've seen kids vanish. Always the same pattern. Trouble at home, sudden transfer. Paperwork looks clean, but no goodbyes. He shuffled to a filing cabinet, fingers working the lock with age-worn ease. From it, he retrieved a leather journal. Administration doesn't know. I started writing it all down after no one listened. Reed flipped through the pages. Dozens of entries, names, circumstances, observations. The slow, relentless documentation of something no one else wanted to see. Why didn't you report this? I did, Johnson said, voice bitter. They called me paranoid. Then my daughter lost her district job. Grandson's scholarship vanished. I got the message. His eyes locked with Reed's. But I kept writing. Figured someday someone would listen. Then came the shock that shifted everything. Nathan Thompson, Johnson added. He came to me weeks ago, showed me missing kids from his old school in Tacoma. Said he saw the same pattern here. Reed's breath caught. You're saying he's investigating? Can't say for sure. But men who cover their tracks don't go asking questions about missing children. Reed left the records room reeling. Everything he thought he knew about Lily's father was in question now. And Maverick, at Lily's side, watched Wade from across the gym with the same guarded intensity he showed before every takedown. Officer Wade was kneeling beside Lily, soft-voiced, asking about her father. Too soft, too interested. Reed moved fast. I need a word, he said, pulling Wade aside. Once alone, his voice dropped to ice. Since when do we interview minors without consent? Wade didn't blink. We're facing child trafficking, Marcus. Her father's fingerprints are all over that tunnel. Surveillance shows him sneaking into the school 6 times this month. Reed reeled. Despite Johnson's account, the evidence Wade laid out felt damning. We're bringing him in as soon as patrol locates him, Wade continued. FBI's sending backup, but I'm in charge until they arrive. Reed turned to Lily. She was being led away by Ms. Bryant, face crumpling with the quiet heartbreak of a child who knows she's losing everything. Can't Maverick come with me? She pleaded, clutching the shepherd. Reed knelt. He needs to help find your dad, but I promise we'll visit soon. He hesitated. Your father loves you very much. Remember that. She nodded. Silent tears streamed as Bryant guided her away. Maverick whined and watched until the door shut behind her. As officers cleared out to begin the manhunt, Reed stayed behind. Alone in the evidence room, he opened the files Wade had guarded closely. Surveillance logs, access logs, file metadata. It didn't add up. Timestamps were altered, files edited. The digital fingerprints didn't point to Nathan. They pointed to someone trying to make it look like Nathan. And then emails. Fragmented, partially recovered. Wade's personal account. Communications with Principal Whitman. Months of it. Reed was snapping photos of the screen when Maverick growled. Deep, protective. He turned. Wade stood in the doorway. Find anything interesting, partner? Wade asked, voice too casual. Reed slid his phone into his pocket. Just being thorough. Always the detail man. Wade stepped closer. That's why I requested you for K9. Maverick moved between them, his body a silent warning. He seems agitated, Wade noted. Traumatized dogs. They can get unpredictable. You know a lot about his history, Reed said slowly. More than I ever told you. Wade's smile thinned. Gets attached to that girl fast, doesn't he? Now Reed knew Wade had been watching them both too closely, and he wasn't planning to let Reed walk out of this room. Speaking of Lily, Reed said, voice measured. Any update on her father? Actually, yes, Wade replied, hand drifting toward his holster. We found him near the river district. Thought you'd want to be there for the pickup. Every red flag in Reed's mind flared. Wade wanted him out. Alone. No Maverick. Let me secure the files and meet you at the car. No need, Wade said, palm, now resting on his weapon. Evidence team can handle it. Leave the dog, too. We don't need K9 support. Reed forced a thin smile. Regulations require handler contact for active cases. A beat of silence. Then Wade's radio crackled with an update. In that instant of distraction, Reed clipped Maverick's lead and stepped past him. Let's not miss the arrest, he said, motioning toward the hallway. The school was quiet, hollow. As they passed the cafeteria, Maverick froze. His ears twitched. His head turned sharply toward the closed double doors. He lunged. Control your dog, Wade barked, reaching for his weapon again. But Maverick was locked in, scratching, barking, desperate. Just like the first time. Could be an animal, Reed offered quickly. I'll check. Protocol. Wade's eyes narrowed. We don't have time. But Reed was already inside. The cafeteria was dim, emergency lights casting long shadows. The tunnel entrance was still taped off. A patrol officer saluted their approach. All quiet, sir. Wade nodded dismissively. Resume your post. But Maverick wasn't focused on the tunnel. He led Reed toward the kitchen, nose low, breath fast. He stopped at a metal cabinet and barked. One sharp, urgent note. Then scratched at the floor. Human scent. Reed's blood chilled. Someone was in there. Probably rats, Wade muttered. Let's go. But Maverick had found something else. He circled behind the cabinet, nosing near a massive mixer. There, nearly hidden, was a smaller hatch, slightly ajar. Reed's voice stayed calm. Rodents, probably. Let's move. But Maverick refused to budge. Wade's face darkened. Funny coincidence finding another access point. His hand twitched near his gun. Almost like someone told you where to look. The patrol officer glanced over, sensing the shift. Everything okay, sir? Wade's voice stayed smooth. Just a sensitive part of the investigation. Stay at your post. But Reed could see it, the way Wade's weight shifted, his posture coiling. A predator preparing to strike. Then, a sound from beneath the hatch. Muffled, weak, human. Maverick barked louder, more frantic. Reed didn't wait. Code Blue Kitchen. Officer needs assistance, he shouted toward the patrolman. Then, without hesitation, Maverick hold. The shepherd launched, not to bite, but to pin. He slammed into Wade, forcing him back against the refrigerator, knocking the weapon from his grasp. The patrolman rushed forward, stunned. He's involved, Reed called. Check my phone. There's proof emails with Whitman doctored files. And someone's in that hatch. The officer hesitated, hand on his holster. Both of you stand down. He barked, eyes wide. Wade's voice oozed calm. Listen to him. He sounds unhinged. Marcus, you've been too close to this. You're unraveling. But then, the hatch creaked. A pair of small trembling hands appeared. And then, a dirt-smeared face. Nathan Thompson pulled himself halfway through the opening. Don't shoot, he gasped. There's a child down there. Reed rushed forward. Where is she hurt? Nathan coughed. Side tunnel. Her name is Zoe Miller. Been missing 3 weeks. His eyes found Wade and hardened. She says he's the one who took her. Wade reached for his backup weapon, but Maverick was faster. The shepherd lunged again, this time with his teeth clamping Wade's wrist just enough to disarm. The gun skidded across the floor. Screams, radio chatter, more officers flooded in. The hatch opened wider, and a child emerged. Small, pale. Her clothes hung loose from weight lost. Her eyes dark with fear, locked on Reed as he knelt. "You're safe now," he whispered, lifting her gently. Behind him, Wade was cuffed and bleeding. Before him, Zoe clung to his chest like a lifeline. And behind it all, Maverick stood guard. The gymnasium transformed again, this time into a war room. Zoe was whisked away by medics, her fingers clutching Reed's sleeve until the very last second. Nathan gave his statement under FBI protection. Wade, wrists bandaged and jaw clenched, was led out in cuffs, shouting innocence, demanding lawyers. Reed sat in a quiet classroom with Agent Reeves, the woman who'd stormed in, with credentials blazing. "Thompson's been working with us for over a year," she explained, tone brisk but tired. "His daughter's classmate disappeared in Tacoma. Same pattern. No questions asked." "Why wasn't local law enforcement notified?" Reed asked, one hand resting on Maverick's head. "Because law enforcement was involved," she said bluntly. "In 3 jurisdictions. We couldn't risk the operation." Reed absorbed the hit. Then Reeves softened, just slightly. "Your name cleared early. That's why Thompson approached the custodian. He hoped you'd believe it if you saw enough." Reed's throat tightened. "And Lily, she's safe. Pulled from emergency foster care and placed under protective custody. We'll reunite them soon." Then Reeves dropped the next weight. "We intercepted new comms after Wade's arrest. There's chatter-coded messages suggesting a cleanup operation. Tonight," Reed sat forward. "They're going to destroy evidence. Worse," Reeves said grimly. "They referenced a package pending transfer. We think it's code for another child." Reed checked the time. "Just after 8:30. We have less than 3 hours," Reeves said. "Thermal scans show movement underground. We suspect they're trying to move a target through the tunnels." Outside, Reed walked Maverick along the school's perimeter. The sky had dimmed. The shepherd suddenly froze, nose in the wind. Reed followed his gaze. Mr. Johnson sat alone on a bench by the playground, back hunched, eyes far away. "I told myself I was protecting the kids by staying," the custodian murmured, as Reed sat beside him. "Truth is, I was scared. Cowardice pretending to be duty." He reached into his coat. A folded paper, a map, hand-drawn, shaky ink. "Memorize this. Then destroy it. And check the art closet in room 118. That's where they keep the key to the North Tunnel." Reed unfolded the map under the streetlight, committing each scribbled line. To memory, the blind bends, the false walls, the crawl spaces that never made it onto official blueprints. "When they sealed the tunnels in the 80s, they cut corners," Johnson muttered. "Those walls don't end things, they just hide them." Reed looked up. "Why tell me all this now?" "Because I'm done being afraid," the old man said. "And because Lily reminds me of every kid I didn't save." He stood slowly, leaning on his mop handle like a cane. "Go, before they move her." The FBI's tactical briefing was swift and sober. Principal Wittman had entered the school just 20 minutes ago, using her clearance. Surveillance suggested multiple figures already in the tunnels. Their goal to move a child undetected to a pickup point half a mile away in Westbrook Park. Reed pointed to the schematic on screen. "Here, here, and here, these are standard access points," he said, deliberately omitting the hidden ones Johnson had revealed. That knowledge would be his edge. Reeves nodded. "You and Maverick go with the primary team through the cafeteria. We'll lock down the park and external exits." Nathan Thompson wanted to join, begged to go in, but was ordered to remain with the command unit. His intel was valuable, his presence in the field a liability. Before they deployed, Reed stopped by the administrative offices. Lily sat curled in a chair, arms around her knees, eyes hollow. Maverick perked up, instantly tail-thumping as he approached her. "Is my dad okay?" she asked. Reed knelt beside her. "He's okay. And he did something brave today. He helped find Zoe." Her brows furrowed. "The people who took her, are they coming back?" Reed nodded slowly. "We think they might try again. Tonight." Lily's hand reached up to pet Maverick behind the ears. "I hope they're scared of him," she whispered. Reed offered a quiet smile. "They should be." They moved in silence. Down the cafeteria trapdoor, through the tunnel corridors, slick with sweat and dread. Reed took point with Maverick, the others moving in tight formation behind him. Each hallway whispered of secrets. At one of the first false walls marked on Johnson's map, Maverick stopped, barked once. Reed tapped the bricks hollow. With a twist of a hidden latch inside the art room closet, the wall gave. Inside darkness. Then the glint of flashlight beams caught something, a mattress, a toy, a child-sized jacket. Empty. They pressed on. The clock ticked toward 11. Finally, just past the third checkpoint, Maverick's body went taut. Nose low, tail stiff. He bolted. Reed gave chase. They burst through a narrow stone door into a chamber just large enough for 2 adults and 1 terrified child. A girl. She recoiled at the sight of the agents. But Maverick moved first, slow, steady. He crouched low and whimpered. The girl's breath hitched. She reached out. Reed dropped to one knee. "It's okay," he said. "You're safe now." The child collapsed into his arms. Behind them, the other agents flooded in. The extraction was smooth. Back in the gym, Lily sat on the bleachers watching the returning officers. When Reed walked in with Maverick and the rescued girl, she bolted to meet them. "Was it her?" she asked. "Was that the one they tried to take?" Reed nodded. Lily's face softened. She looked at the child, then at Maverick. "He always finds them." Reed put a hand on her shoulder. "And you helped." Later that night, after the girl was placed in safe custody, after the tunnels were sealed and the evidence tagged, Reed returned to the school one last time. He stood outside beneath a pale moon. Maverick at his side. He pulled out Johnson's journal and turned to a familiar entry. Sarah Reed, age 8, missing 1992, last seen near Westlake Elementary. Reed closed his eyes. He didn't have all the answers. But tonight they saved someone. And maybe, just maybe, that made peace possible. The school was still, too still. Reed stood in the principal's office, now stripped of plaques and authority. Agent Reeves leaned over the desk, scanning final reports. "We've locked down the known tunnel points," she said, voice low. "But there are still questions. Gaps in time. Names we haven't matched to any paperwork." Reed nodded grimly. "They buried it deep." Reeves met his eyes. "You dug it out." Later, he found Mr. Johnson alone, sweeping the hallway with practiced grace. "They'll tear the building down," Reed said softly. "Maybe they should," Johnson replied. "But buildings don't keep the secrets. People do." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small photo, weathered and folded. A little girl with a birthday hat. Reed recognized her instantly. "Sarah." "They kept it," Johnson murmured. "Like a trophy." Reed's throat closed. He said nothing, just took the photo with trembling fingers. Some ghosts didn't scream. They whispered. Outside, under the starlight, Lily sat cross-legged on the sidewalk, Maverick's head resting on her lap. When Reed approached, she looked up. "Is it over?" "Not yet," he said honestly. "But it's ending." She stroked Maverick's ears. "My mom used to say dogs can smell lies." Reed crouched beside her. "Then we're lucky Maverick never forgot how." Lily nodded. "He found me when I didn't even know I was lost." The wind stirred around them. Reed looked up at the dark silhouette of Westlake Elementary. Beneath it, the echoes of decades. But tonight, finally, one child was saved. One truth uncovered. And maybe one day that would be enough.